In this video, I want to talk about why I don't want a traditional game room with a lot of games scattered around like a traditional game room. Of course, when it comes to gaming, I still have to have a room, obviously, to play my video games, whether it's a console or a PC with a monitor and things like that. So of course, I'm going to have like a room that I'm actually going to have to play the games in. Of course, that makes sense, but I'm primarily talking about a room like a traditional game room. If you go to like YouTube and you type in game room tour, you see all these game rooms with a lot of different games in a game room. You also see a lot of different memorabilia, and you just see a room that's pretty much tailored for gaming, and the primary focus of this room is going to be for gaming. But in this video, I want to explain why I don't really care about having a traditional game room that's like dedicated to strictly gaming and it's mostly revolved around gaming. The main reason I really don't care about having a traditional game room with a lot of games, a lot of memorabilia, posters, all of that jazz is because I just think, as we speak right now, for me personally, I'm just at a state right now where I really don't care about physical goods, and I really don't care about showing those physical goods off or really having a big collection. And right now in the state that I'm in, I don't like having a lot of clutter as well. You look at some people's game rooms and they literally have thousands, if not hundreds of video games in their game collection, and then on top of that they have a lot of memorabilia scattered around the room. And I think that's actually a really cool idea, and I think that really does show that the person is super passionate about gaming, about their hobbies, about what they believe in and things like that. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I really think that game rooms are just flat out an amazing thing, and you can show those, you can share your game room with a lot of different people, whether it's on the internet, whether it's in real life. I really do think it is a good idea to do something like that, because that does show you're super passionate about what you believe in. And if you're a really hardcore gamer or quote unquote true gamer and you're really passionate about games, of course you're going to want to have a game room. But for me, like I said, I think the biggest reason why I actually don't want a traditional game room with games and memorabilia is because, well, I don't care about physical goods in the year 2020. I'm just not that big of a person when it comes to that. And then on top of that, we do have a little problem for me. The problem is I tend to buy a lot of digital games, and since I tend to buy a lot of digital games, where could I really put all those digital games? And then on top of that, just the fear of all that stuff being in one room just really does bother me for some reason. I think it's just the fact that what happens when I get older, just knowing all that stuff just sitting around. And a lot of times I really can't do too much with the stuff in my room, whether it's the memorabilia, whether it's the games. Sure, I can play the games, but the problem is with having like a full room full of games, you know you're probably never going to play all those games and things like that. But I guess it's the fact that they're just sitting right in front of you and you just feel really good as a person for owning all of those games and things like that. I get that, and I get why people would want a traditional game room, but for me it just doesn't make sense. And I think not just now, but ever since I've been a gamer and ever since I've liked games, I just think that I've never really been into collecting memorabilia as well. So if I had something like a traditional game room where you have hundreds, if not thousands of games in one single space, I just think it wouldn't be the best experience, because I would just literally have games all over the place, like in a bookshelf, in a cabinet, and things like that. I wouldn't really have like a true game room. I wouldn't really have the satisfaction of having like memorabilia, because I've personally never been a person to go out and collect memorabilia, even for my favorite game, my favorite movie, my favorite TV show. It's just not for me. And then on top of that, another reason why I really don't care about this thing is just the fact that I do know, for me personally, if I was into like collecting memorabilia, buying posters and things like that for my favorite game, my favorite TV show and things like that, to really decorate a traditional game room, then I really do think that I can get really addicted to this stuff. And I can see other people super getting addicted into collecting memorabilia, collecting all this other stuff, because, well, they want to make their game room as best looking as possible. And of course, that does mean you're going to have to be dumping in a lot of money if you're going to be making a true game room. And that's something I just don't want to sink money into. I don't want to have to go out and get all this different memorabilia and all these different items, because things do add up. And personally for me, I just don't think it's necessary. And also, you do have to realize I don't care about having a traditional game room with a lot of different games scattered around a room, because that also means if I was to have a traditional game room with starting to collect all these different games, memorabilia and things like that, that does mean it would take up a lot of space. And for me personally, I just think that I'm in a state where I don't want a room that's just cluttered with a lot of different stuff. Even though I'm very passionate about gaming and things like that, I just don't want a room taking up space with all this different stuff. I'd rather just have a place where I can just sit down, play my video games, have them all digitally, play them whenever I want to, but not really get so passionate about the hobby that I want to make a dedicated game room with memorabilia and try to fancy it out and try to make it as cool as possible. But like I said again, I do really respect those people who really do make a true gaming room with a lot of games and a lot of different memorabilia, whether it's like statues of video games, posters, all this different stuff, to really make it stand out and really make them happy as a person, and really to show off what they're truly passionate in life, and that's going to be video games. So I do respect that, and I actually like that. It does show that you are a very passionate person. But for me, time and time again, I'm just not into the whole classic game room where you have like a game room with a lot of games and a lot of memorabilia and things like that. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever be in a situation where I really truly want a dedicated room to just play video games and things like that. I mean, I may have one in the future. It's really hard to tell, because of course, as you grow older and as things change, and as you change as a person and as you develop, because we go through life never really knowing what we truly want. That is actually the case. And since so many people change their minds throughout their lifetime, throughout the years and throughout the months and things like that, who really knows? But I think if I ever did have a traditional game room like you normally see, it wouldn't have anything too crazy in it. It would literally just have a lot of games in one game room with like a TV in it to play my games and things like that, and that would pretty much be it. I may throw up some posters here or there to make the game room a little bit more like personalized, to make me feel like I'm actually in a game room. But besides that, I just don't think I'll ever have a traditional game room for myself. I just don't think it makes sense in my life. I'm just not willing to go set one up. And honestly, I'm just a person that really cares more about the aspect of playing the games, if that makes sense as well. I don't really care about I wouldn't say I don't care about the history of video games or things around video games. I just really care about playing video games at the moment more than like actually getting stuff for video games, if that makes sense, and actually showing off like a game room. So overall, it really doesn't make sense to me right now to go get a gaming room. And that pretty much sums up this video. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.